guys. I decided to split my channel in two. Link to my relationship advice channel in the description. Now for our first story titled, Am I the A-hole? I lied about having a college fund for my stepsister to save my sister. I am 32 female. I grew up with a narcissistic mom. I have never met my dad. The first hug I have received in my life was at 10 years old when Dan, my mom's boyfriend, hugged me when I thanked him for a gift. My mom had my sister a year later. My sister was the perfect baby sister anyone could ask for. Mom and Dan split, and at first, Mom had major custody of my sister. Mom did the same thing to my sister she did to me. Doesn't even acknowledge us in the room if she was not in the mood, not feeding us dinner if we made a mistake, made everything our fault. When Dan found out, he applied for full custody for my sister, but my mother fought and somehow wrangled 50% of custody. Things got real bad for me, and the only silver lining was my sister. Despite being only 4 years old, she would sneak in snacks from her dad for me to eat. Anything Dan bought for her, he also bought me. He wasn't wealthy by any means, but it was the small things, and anytime he dropped my sister, he would take his time to talk to me. He was the only father I have ever known. Dan died of cancer when I was 16 and my sister 5. He lived only 3 months from the diagnosis, but settled everything financially as able as he can for my sister. He split his assets 75% for my sister and 25% for me to be given to me when I reached 18. Knowing my mom very well, he made me the executor of my sister's fund too. To say my mom was furious was an understatement. She literally made the next 2 years of my life and my sister a living hell. When my mom started dating Brad, he already had a daughter 3 years younger than my sister. My mom made it absolutely clear that my sister will be allowed to go to college only if she shares her trust fund with our stepsister. Brad is a piece of work, and me and my sister never really bonded with our stepsister. She refused to sign anything related to my sister's education unless I give her my word that I will give my stepsister equal half of the trust fund. This is where I think I was the a-hole. I held the trust fund above my mom's head to treat my sister fairly. I repeatedly told them I will give my stepsister half the fund until my sister was 18 and moved to college. Once she moved out, we both cut any contact we had with our mom and blocked her. I made my sister give her the wrong college info so our mom couldn't contact her. I have found out through few friends my mom didn't know I have that my stepsister couldn't get into any college because she didn't want to apply any loans and she is very depressed. I know I misled them, but I honestly wanted my sister to be safe. Am I the a-hole for causing my stepsister's depression and robbing her of college? Edit. Thank you everyone for your reassurance. I showed this post to my sister and the only thing she had to say was, duh. We both have discussed and decided to not contact our stepsister. We were never close to her, and my friends back there can safely get any message to her without dragging our mom into it, which is the last thing we both want. That's the main story. Now let's read the top comments. Not the a-hole. You did what you needed to do to protect your baby sister, and for that, you should be proud. Your mother was trying to deny her the right to an education in order to rob her. You were justified in saying whatever you needed to say to protect your sister's interests. Dan knew what he was doing when he named you executor. He knew that you would safeguard your sister's interests, and you have proven that he was right to trust you. As for your stepsister, if she chooses not to apply for any loans, not going to college is her choice, not yours. She and your mother would have known for 3 years that they couldn't rely on robbing your sister to pay her way through college. If they didn't make alternative plans, that's on them, not you. Dan was a great man. My sister is exactly like him. I have lost my compassion so much growing up, but my sister is still this loveliest person who cares so much. Never doubt that you did the right thing by honoring Dan's wishes and protecting your sister. The fact that you are posting here tells me that you still have compassion, because you are worried that you are an a-hole because of the impact on your sister, but that's not your fault. Not the a-hole. That money was for your sister, from her father. There was no reason whatsoever for you to share it with your mom's new guy's kid. Stepsister not going to college because she didn't want to apply for loans is on her. I understand the blow of learning that she isn't getting money that you told your mom she would receive, but you did that to try and keep the peace in what sounds like a shitty home. It also seems like stepsister lived with mom long enough that she should have known better than to trust anything that came out of her mouth. Even if LP had split the funds, I think there's a non-zero chance that mom would have kept the money for herself. Doing the math here, You are 32 and 11 years older than your sister, so she is 21. Your stepsister is 3 years younger than your sister, that makes her 18. You didn't rob your stepsister of college. Where is Brad, your stepsister's actual father, in all of this? Why wouldn't he be responsible for helping her in her education? She can start with community college and have her father sign for financial aid. Neither you nor your sister have anything to do with your mother and her family since your sister left for college, right? Your stepsister was a casualty to your mother's narcissism, and her father enabled it, not the a-hole. Exactly. And they had 3 years from the time the two broke contact with mom, Brad, stepsister. If they didn't apply for loans in those 3 years, that's completely on them, not an OP for misleading them. And now for the next story, titled, Am I the a-hole for not giving younger sister more inheritance? I, 46 female, recently lost both of my parents in quite quick succession. They both died peacefully of natural causes/old age. I have an older brother, 47, and a younger sister, 32. Yes, I was 14 when my sister was born. She was a menopause baby. In fact, my mother thought that most of her early pregnancy was symptoms of menopause. We were all excited to have a new baby though, especially me, as I was the youngest of all the cousins and none of my friends had young siblings when we were growing up. My parents were always very fair with all of us when it came to money and time spent with us. They encouraged our hobbies and liked to spend with us. Our dad died first and everything went to our mom. When she died, everything was split between the three of us, apart from things that were stated such as a set of golf clubs going to my brother, and jewelry left specifically to my sister or to me. We decided to sell our parents' house and split the proceeds equally as none of us wanted to live in it. Last week, my brother and I received an email from our sister. She believes that she should be given more inheritance money or the entire proceeds of the house sale. Her reasoning for this is that, as she is so much younger than my brother and I, she got to spend less time with my parents whilst they were alive than we did. Somehow, she reasons that this is fair. My brother and I think this is absolute nonsense. Our parents were clear on splitting things equally. We both left home when we turned 18 to go to university and were lucky that we didn't need to return home for a while to save money or anything like that. My sister lived with our parents until she was 25. My brother and I have agreed we are not giving our sister any more of our share of the inheritance, which isn't much anyway, and the proceeds of the house will be split 3 ways as specified in both of our parents' wills. She has said we are selfish, and she is owed this because she didn't have as much time with our parents. I don't feel like I am in the wrong here, but a few of my friends have suggested I make a token payment to keep her happy. I don't think she would be, unless it was a significant portion of my inheritance or my share of the house sale. Am I an a-hole for not wanting to give my sister more money just because she is younger than me? Edit. Thank you very much to all of your condolences. Becoming an orphan is very hard at any age, it seems. I am thinking that I will speak to my brother about talking to our sister about getting some sort of grief counseling and offer to go with her. It might be a way of finding out if there are any other issues that we don't know about, as outwardly she is a successful professional. If there is something wrong, then we will offer our support. I love my sister very much, and I don't want to end up estranged over this, especially during a time of grief. Now let's read the top comments. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry for your loss. Your sister's logic is stupid. You could also argue the reverse, since you knew them better since you were older. You and your brother deserve more. Also, you're following your parents' wishes in their wills. Please don't give her money. That sets a bad precedent for the future. She might want more if you give her a little. You can't use reason with an irrational person. I love this. Email her back. Brother and I have decided, since we actually knew them better, that means we deserve more of their money. Here's our bank details. Please transfer 2/3 of your inheritance ASAP. Also, they moved out at 18, where baby sis moved out at 25. So, she's actually the one that had more time with the parents. This fact actually makes her argument completely invalid. You know, I never even thought about it like that. After I left home, it was just my sister and my parents. My brother and I went home some weekends and during the summer until we graduated. But it's strange to think I always had to share my parents first with my older brother and then with my sister too. Not the a-hole. Do not give your entitled sister 1 penny more than the 1/3 share your mother allotted her in her will. Your sister's reasoning is flawed, and this is just a naked cash grab on her part. I agree with this. I'm the youngest of the three like the sister, but even I know that you don't demand something from siblings just because you never got to spend as much time as they did with your parents. That's pure and selfish entitlement. It's really strange, as she never mentioned ever feeling like this before, such as when our dad died or even after Mom. It seemed to come out of the blue after we got the estate settled and instructed the solicitor to put the house on the market. Not the a-hole. Your parents were clear where their money was to go when they passed. Sorry for your guys' losses. And now for the last story, titled, Am I the a-hole for not splitting my inheritance with my brother-in-law? First of all, my English is not good. It's not my native language. I'm sorry in advance for any grammatical error. I, 32 female, am married to my husband Andy, 35 male, for 5 years. A year after our wedding, my mother-in-law passed away. I told my husband we should ask his dad, Jacob, 71, to live with us or with his sister, Monica, 38. I think it's the Asian in me that makes me feel we are obligated to take care of my father-in-law. My husband called her sister, Monica. She lives in Massachusetts and we live in Indiana. Her husband, Arthur, was against this idea. He told us they have no room in their house. They have an extra bedroom, but it's for guests. Arthur insisted to just move Jacob to a retirement house. Arthur also told us how when Andy and Monica were a kid, Jacob was busy, strict, and they don't have the best relationship. Andy then said, yeah, Dad was strict, and sometimes he said something cruel, but that is the past, and he is a different person now. I then asked, will it be okay with them if we ask Jacob to stay with us? They said yes. When we asked Jacob if he wants to move with us, he was grateful, but declines the offer. 4 months after our conversation, I gave birth to our baby boy. Jacob visited us, and he changed his mind. He chose to stay with us, and we could not be happier. Since last year, Jacob's health has been declining. I took care of him. I was there for every surgery. I was there when his doctors told me he only has 3 months and suggested for him to be at home with his family. I do everything in my power to make him feel comfortable. He died 2 weeks ago. In the will, he gave Monica $5 million, and he set up a $500,000 trust fund for each of her kids. They have 2 kids. He gave Andy $3 million and a cabin in Aspen, Colorado, worth around $2 million. He knew Andy will enjoy the cabin in the winter. He also set up a trust fund for our kid, $500,000. He gave me $5 million too. He wrote that he is grateful Andy found me and that he loved me like his own kid. I cried when I read the will. Yesterday, I received a call from Arthur demanding me to share my inheritance with him. He said that he is entitled to half of my inheritance because he is with Monica longer than Andy with me. They need more money because they have more kids. I was shocked and told him I'll discuss it with Andy. Arthur starts cursing at me and said that no, I don't need to discuss this with my husband. It's between me and him. I hung up. Arthur even told Andy's cousins how it is unfair, how they should get some of the inheritance too. Most of the cousins disagreed with him, but there is one cousin, Jake, 35, that feels he is entitled to some of the inheritance. They've been calling me a greedy a-hole. Andy told me to do what I want with my money, but he reminds me that his dad wants me to have this money, not Arthur or Jake. My gut told me not to share the inheritance, but I'm sick of the calls and texts. I am still grieving, and I want to keep the peace in the family. I am torn. Am I the a-hole if I don't share my inheritance? Now for the top comments of this post. Not the a-hole. Your husband is right. Your father-in-law wanted you to have the money and love you like you were one of his own children. Don't give in to greedy, jealous family members, and don't give them a penny. If you do, they will never leave you alone because they will always want more. This, please don't give in. Please, please, please. Not the a-hole. It's yours. You just lost someone you cared about. They lost a family member. Is money seriously all they care about? I don't even understand how we got here. Yesterday morning, I made a cup of tea and brought it to what used to be Jacob's room. Then it hit me again that he is dead. I am still processing all this. Of course you are. You don't need to talk to any family members. You are grieving. He was just as much family to you as they were to everyone else. You may not be related by blood, but you are by heart and soul. You lost someone you have cared for. Grief is a strange thing, but it's okay to grieve. You lost someone too. Ignore Arthur and focus on you and your family. Thank you for your kind word. I'll try to focus on my family. Oh man, I remember doing this when my dad died. Ooh, shrimps are on sale. I should get some for dad. Oh, right. It's like a horrible reminder of all the small things you have together that just isn't there anymore. It will get easier as time passes, so you just need to give yourself time to grieve. Never pass up an opportunity to cry when you need it. It's so stupid, but it helps. Also, you're not the a-hole. You deserve this more than those horrible people. Yeah, it sucks. And that's the end of the video, guys. As always, comment, like, and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.